Elon Musk has certainly got his foot in the door, and you're right, he has enough wealth to take things over. But the thing is, let's say he was even more free speechy than Jack Dorsey. I don't know how many people work for Twitter. I guess I could look it up. It's thousands of people. And you can be the boss, but frankly, my observation of these companies is that there's this internal culture. If you were to say we're for free speech now, it would either be ignored or subverted or sabotaged. Who knows? Maybe a lot of people would quit. I sometimes wonder if these companies are even under the control of the CEO. So if there was a directive, whether from the board of directors or if there was a resolution passed at the Twitter annual shareholders meeting to re-embrace free speech, okay, that looks nice on paper, but you've got 1,000 little, critters burrowed into Twitter, and they're there on a mission. They're not there just as a job. They see it as a mission, and they're not going to give it up. I think that there's going to have to be a purge, or there's going to be sabotage.
I think that's likely, but I think it's a lot more possible to do these kinds of employee turnovers at private companies compared to, say, Washington, D.C. Trump struggled with this as well. He had put out an order, and then the bureaucracy would just ignore it or subvert it. But it's a lot harder to fire a bureaucrat than it is to fire an employee of a private company. And we've seen examples of this where I think it was Coinbase. The Coinbase CEO, said he no longer wanted politics to be discussed in the workplace. And he gave employees who disagreed a very generous deal to leave the company if they disagreed. And a lot of them did. So it's been done before. I think it can be done again. Another thing to remember is that while the social justice warriors, if you will, have a lot of influence inside these companies because they're the most vocal minority and they have the media on their side, there are lots of other employees who simply just don't agree with the craziness but keep their heads down because they don't want to be targeted. I wouldn't underestimate how big that cohort is. They may not all be conservatives, but a lot of them think the social justice nonsense in Silicon Valley has gone far too far.
Well, I tell you, you used the word white pill. I mean, from the movie The Matrix, the red pill is to have the scales from your eyes and to be, to lose your Garden of Eden in naivete. And the blue pill is, no, I want to go back to that, lack of knowledge. It's like the red pill is when you eat from the fruit of the tree of knowledge and you see how things really are. It's a pessimistic view, but it's a realistic view. The kids say black pill is that you think there's no hope. You've been too disillusioned. But white pill is the phrase for, renewed hope. And you used that phrase when we just started our conversation. I have to say, this is the best news I've seen in a long time. And Rumble, the YouTube competitor, the video platform that's now getting into the servers business, Peter Thiel has a stake in that. So you've got Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, really the two most freedom-loving guys in Silicon Valley. They're both putting their money where their mouth is. I'm excited about it. I mean, I think that still we're losing every day. It's maybe just today we're losing a little less slowly.
Yes, and both PayPal founders. I think there's a lot of positive things happening in Silicon Valley outside of the big tech companies. Again, we have to see what happens. Maybe Elon Musk simply wanted to boost the price of Twitter and then sell his stake. Who knows? He doesn't really need more money. Yeah. But we've got to wait and see if he'll buy more shares and obtain the influence he needs inside the company to actually change things. He hasn't done that quite yet because it's a passive stake, but it's a big move. And, he certainly has, as he said, put his money where his mouth is.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.